A review of the Bronze Age Maryannu, the mod for Crusader Kings 3. The Bronze Age mod for Crusader Kings 3 began its life as the most celebrated mod for Imperator Rome. It transforms the game from a game about the Middle Ages to one about the ancient Near East. It has two start dates, an early period beginning in 2115 BC, and a middle period beginning in 1590 BC. In this review, I'll be going over the mod and all its aspects. As stated above, Bronze Age Maryannu has two start dates. The early campaign begins in 2115 BC, which was a period of warring states all across the region, in both Mesopotamia and Egypt. The later campaign begins in 1590, coinciding with the famous sack of Babylon by the Hittites and the subsequent assassination of King Mershili, who actually sacked Babylon, as well as the collapse of the Old Babylonian dynasty of Hammurabi. First, I'll go over the important aspects of the early campaign. 2115 BC is not really a year of any particular importance, but it is a critical period as the wars in Mesopotamia and Egypt are in full swing, as several potentates duke it out to see who can unite their respective regions. In Mesopotamia, you have several major kingdoms as well as minor ones. 2115 BC is at the tail end of the Gudean period. The Gudean king Tirigan controls the most powerful kingdom in Mesopotamia, Gutium, which had conquered and destroyed Akkad and the dynasty of Sargon. A few Sumerian kings stand in Tirigan's way: Utu-Khengal, king of Uruk; Ur-Nammu, king of Ur; and Nam-Machani, ruler of Lagash, as well as a few others. Utu-Khengal is one of the most famous Sumerian rulers of all time, since historically he was the one who was able to defeat and capture Tirigan and oust the Guteans from Sumer and Akkad once and for all. You can find the long Sumerian text about Utu-Khengal's battle with the evil Guteans in the description below. Ur-Nammu of Ur is also a famous ruler, since after Utu-Khengal's demise at the hands of an unstable floor, Ur-Nammu, Utu-Khengal's son-in-law, inherited the kingdom and founded the third dynasty of Ur, also known as the Neo-Sumerian Empire due to the reform and revitalization of Sumerian culture, administration, and literature that occurred in this period. Nam-Machari of Lagash was also an important ruler, not because he was famous himself, but because one of his predecessors, yes, me, Gudea of Lagash, is one of the most famous Sumerian potentates of all time, who even composed the first text about a dream he had. You can find a link to this dream text and other artifacts from Gudea in the description below. Nam-Machari was the last known ruler in Gudea's dynasty, also known as the dynasty of Puzur-Mama. So if you want to lead Lagash to glory, it won't be the perfectly historically campaign you may want to have. In-game, the Sumerian factions start out at war with the Gutean king Tirigan in the Great Sumerian Revolt, so you start out with some big battles. Winning as Tirigan is quite a tough proposition. In Egypt, things are also quite muddy. You have several competing warlords, the most important of whom are based in Thebes, Memphis, and Hetnesut, known in Greek as Heracleopolis. In Egyptology, this period is known as the First Intermediate Period and is a rather dark period in Egyptian history that lies between the Old Kingdom and Middle Kingdom in Egyptian chronology. There are several aspects of the First Intermediate Period in Egypt that are not quite resolved, and pretty much everything is uncertain, perhaps even more so than the Gutean period in Mesopotamia. Perhaps the most important archaeological find from this period is the Tomb of Angkhtifi, a warlord based in Hierakonpolis who you can play as in the mod. It is a richly decorated tomb, and you can find a link to more information about it in the description below. In any case, the The 2115 BC start date is a great campaign with a lot of conflict going on. The 1590 BC campaign is also an excellent start date. While the 2115 campaign begins at the tail end of a period of chaos, the 1590 campaign starts right at the beginning of one. The sack of Babylon by the Hittites, one of the most important political and military events to take place in all of ancient Near Eastern history, occurred in 1595, just before the start date of the mod. During the sack of Babylon, the Hittites both destroyed the famous Old Babylonian dynasty and kingdom that had been led to glory by Hammurabi a few generations earlier, allowing a nomadic group from the Zagros Mountains, the Kassites, to take control of Babylon for the next several centuries. Additionally, the Hittites carried off the statue of the god Marduk from Babylon, the nerve of some people. Egypt is also not doing so great in this period, and it is embroiled in the middle of the second intermediate period of Egypt. In the north, in Lower Egypt, you have the foreign Hyksos kings based in their capital of Avaris, and in the south you have local dynasts such as the Abydos and Theban dynasties trying to hold off the attacks of the Hyksos in the north and the Cushites in the south in order to reunite Egypt under a local pharaoh. The 1590 campaign is where Asia Minor and Greece really come alive. In the earlier campaign, the history of Greece and Asia Minor is still quite obscure, and you are really just playing as semi-historical chieftains. Of course, the farther east you go in Asia Minor, the clearer things get, as you have Hattic kings and a few potentates in Asia Minor that we at least know a few details about in the early period campaign. In 1590, the Hittite kingdom is in tremendous danger. The powerful king Murshili I, who had just sacked Babylon, has been murdered by Khantili I, who is now king. This instability threatens to tear the burgeoning empire apart, which it historically did, and it experienced a century-long Dark Age. The Mycenaeans and Minoans are also making the politics of the Aegean quite a bit more interesting in this period, since we start to see Minoan and then Mycenaean writing. And we have the Trojans around as well, in the form of Wilusha in Hittite, or Wilion in Greek. 1590 was a time where things were changing. Things were consolidating, and this is why I think it's an excellent choice for a start date in the mod. The gameplay in Bronze Age is pretty similar to standard Crusader Kings 3 gameplay, though everything has been changed and the graphics have been overhauled to transport you and immerse you into the ancient Near East. The cultures are overhauled so that you have Sumerians, Akkadians, Gutians, Lulubians, Egyptians, Chattians, and others. The religions are also changed, of course. Buildings, decisions, knights, all of these have been changed when necessary in order to make them better fit the period. One of the areas where the mod is definitely incomplete is some of the 2D art as well as the names. I've seen many duplicate names in a lot of places, though they are never in extremely important regions, where more historically accurate names are indeed utilized. Many of the faction and dynasty logos are also not present or seem to be placeholders. The music is also rather unchanged, as are a lot of the 3D models on the map. However, all of the rough edges of the mod will be ironed out in due time, I'm sure, and the gameplay and immersion factor will be significantly enhanced. It already does a great job, and it is a lot of fun. I also feel like some other start dates should be added, as while these start dates are very good, they aren't exactly the ones I would have chosen. I feel like there needs to be a Rise of Sargon campaign beginning in 2400 or 2375 BC, with the accession of Lugal-Zaghesi to the throne of Umma, and at war with the powerful king Enshakushana of Uruk and Urukagina of Lagash, who are also at war with each other, with Sargon being a powerful vassal of the king of Kish at the time, Ur-Zababa. In Syria, you would also have the powerful kingdoms of Ebla and Mari fighting as well. Another good start date to have would be the rise of Hammurabi and the unification of Mesopotamia under the Old Babylonian dynasty. But of course, these are just dreams. The ancient Near East has a fascinating history that deserves more attention than it gets in popular culture. Hopefully the success of the Bronze Age mods for Rome Total War Rome 2, Imperator Rome, and now Crusader Kings 3 can help convince more game developers to produce more content set in this fascinating region and time period. I applaud the modders for their excellent work in bringing the ancient Near East to life, and I look forward to the amazing updates this mod will continue to get. Well done! If you would like to see me do a Let's Play campaign as the Gudean dynasty in the 2115 BC campaign, let me know.